Hello viewers, welcome back to the Teacher's Lounge. This is your space where we celebrate, we inspire, we support the amazing hearts behind the classroom scenes, and that is the teachers. Today we're doing something special. We call it the Teacher Spotlight series. In this series, we have a chance to meet a fellow educator, to hear their story, to soak in their wisdom, soak in laughter, and the realness that only teachers can truly understand. So today with me is an amazing person that I have known for quite some time now, a teacher who's been in the field for some time. I would really love to introduce them, but I don't think it's in my it's I would do it best. So I think they will introduce themselves. But I am your host, Doreen Lusega. So karibu sana, our guest. Please introduce yourself to our viewers.
Yeah, thank you so much, viewers, and I'm delighted to be in this space today. My name's Timothy Mutua, teacher by profession, currently teaching at Dominic's Comprehensive School, specifically the junior school section. And I'm happy, as I've said before, to interact with you today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Timothy Mutua, a teacher at St. Dominic's. It's a public school, right?
Yeah, it's a public school in Nairobi, Jiro sub-county.
Okay. So, Timothy, I think we'll just dive into it and, just get to hear your story. Here, we just want to hear your story, your experience. You want to share your wisdom with fellow teachers and those who are just getting started in the teaching industry. So, just to start us off, maybe you can tell us what inspired you to become a teacher. When I was young in school, we used to be asked, when you grow up, what do you want to be? And you would jump quickly to say a doctor, a neurosurgeon, an engineer. So, was teaching your dream right from the start, or what really inspired you to become a teacher?
Well, for me, maybe just like many learners who have a different dream of maybe becoming something different. Mine was not different. I also had other dreams, and I had a lot of passion in woodwork while in high school. However, my environment was surrounded by teachers because my grandfather from maternal side was one Mwalimu Mutua, and he was very popular, and he had a name to himself. So I got a lot of inspiration from him because he was very organized, and his name was known across very many valleys where I came from. My own father also was a teacher, and he was very, very hardworking, but I also got a lot of passion from him. About two uncles are also teachers, so I come from a family, and therefore maybe my dream was reshaped into teaching because of the environment. And my mom was so inspiring and encouraged me so much to become a teacher. Therefore, I became a teacher. I accepted being a teacher. Today, I love being a teacher. So
Wow.
I guess that the remaining years, I'm going to be a teacher.
Wow. Good to hear that. Good to hear that. And I realize that that's really very true of most teachers. Most of the people who are teachers right now, you find that they were surrounded by teachers. So, like even myself, my own dad was a teacher, my mom was a teacher, and there were so many teachers in the family. So you find there's that inspiration. So it's good to know that. Yeah. So what happened to your dream with woodwork? Did you just let it go, or do you still think of doing it? Or are you doing it as a side thing?
I'm not doing it as a side thing, but when I got employed, there was not much space to practice, especially in the line of teaching. However, I can confidently say that today, under the junior school curriculum, we have a subject which is pre-technical studies, and it is fitting so well because today basically I'm a Kiswahili history teacher. Therefore, I teach Kiswahili. I teach social studies in the junior school setup, today we have pre-technical studies. Therefore, and there are no teachers for pre-technical studies because most of the courses which were offered in the universities, we had very few teachers doing pre-technical related subjects, that is metalwork, woodwork. Therefore, any teachers who are acquainted with some knowledge and skills in this field are fitting very well. Therefore, I happen to be one of them. So today, teaching pre-technical studies, and much of it is borrowing from that passion. And you know that it's always fulfilling when you are teaching something which you love and which you have interest. Yeah, so there is a lot of growth today in the field of teaching on my side, because I now I think that I'm also doing part of what I love most to my learners. Yeah. Aside from maybe I still practice the skills in woodwork in my daily life. Yeah, like most of the furnitures I use at home, I normally make them. So I have all the most of the basic tools in woodwork I have, and I love working with my hands. Therefore, I never let it. Yeah.
Wow. That's a good way of putting your passion into use, and I'm glad to hear that. As much as you didn't pursue that, but you've still found your way back to woodwork, even in CBC in school. That's really interesting, and even you having to make your own furniture and some of the tools you use, wow, kudos, good job. So Mutua, would you like to tell us for how long have you been teaching?
I've been teaching since 2009. That is when I finished college, and I got employed in my former school, because one of the biggest mentor, if I can take you back a bit, was a teacher by the name Mr. Kitavi. Just like many learners, I cannot claim to have been the best. So when I was in primary school, I was just cheeky like any other boy. And his teacher called me one day, and he told me that I still have a lot of potential, and that I could salvage the time which was remaining. And he brought me too close to him, so he was very free with me, and therefore I worked hard. And later, when I became a teacher, he invited me to teach with him under UM arrangements. That was 2009. Then, after 2015, when I was absorbed by the Teacher Service Commission. Therefore, officially, I've been teaching under the Teacher Service Commission for 8 years now. However, my teaching journey began in the year 2009 as a for 8 years official service under TSC. Yeah.
Okay. That's a long time. So you have enough experience in teaching. So if you can remember your first year of teaching, like when you finished college and you now started off as a teacher, if you can just walk back in time and tell us what was your experience like in your first year of teaching, what do you remember most?
You see, this field of teaching is a journey, it's a long journey.
Yes.
A journey of disappointments, a journey of learning, a journey of trying, and also trying to become better. So I remember very well when I first entered a class, I was full of expectations. You see, I thought that whatever you say as a teacher, learners grasp it, because you teach something most of the time. So you could go to class and teach. Then later, when you are reviewing your lesson, when you are asking, you are assessing, evaluating your learners, you realize that very few could remember what you have said. And that was under age of 4. So you can guess that it was as good as mine that it was lecture method. And back then, corporal punishment was there. And sometimes you could start fighting the learners. Yeah, you could start fighting the learners and thinking that learners are not good enough. So that was when I was fresh from college, full of energy. I wanted learners to understand literally everything. Yeah. Later, he matured. I matured. I came to realize that learning and forgetting, they come hand in hand. And that sometimes when learners don't understand and don't grasp concepts, sometimes it's also not their fault. It is our fault as teachers. Because sometimes we assume, sometimes you're using English, you're using Kiswahili terms, and you assume that learners know. So later, I realized that I'm dealing with young ones. And I came down. You see, there's that concept of coming down to the level of the learners. I realized that it's not even about the real thing you're teaching. It's about life in general. Learning is life. It's not for just passing exams. I realized that learners need to be my friends, and they need to resonate with me. And that is when I now got advised also. I got mentored. I could look at models, other teachers. I could see them using similar language, you see. And I think I also adopted and changed. Now, this is the time I started my career. And this is the time I started enjoying. This is the time I started seeing learners appreciate, because when you teach and you have the passion and the love for the job, learners will always also understand. They'll also feel. There's that feel that teacher so and so wants the best of us. So I think it has been a growing journey. I cannot say that I have gone top of it. I'm still learning.
You're still learning.
I'm still learning, and I'm ready to learn till the day I
Even
exit
more.
this. Yeah.
And I think that's the kind of attitude I like that you have, that it's not like I have really achieved. I've not yet gotten there, but I'm still learning. I'm still growing. And if every teacher carried this attitude, then I think, we will get the best people. We'll get people getting out of school with, having grown and with competencies. Because there's one other thing you have mentioned, that when you're teaching learners, it's not just about them passing exams, but it's about their life. Yeah, and I think that is one thing that CPC has come to address, right? Not just passing exams, but what are the competencies that this learner is getting out of it, right?
Yeah, that is very true.
All right. I think every teacher needs to get this deep within them, that it's not about passing exams. It's about the learners' lives. Thank you so much, Mutua. So you've mentioned about a teacher who really impacted your life. I would really want to know how has that influenced your teaching today?
I think that made me who I am today, and the principles I carry today. Because one, I say that I had mentioned that this teacher invited me to his home, because I was in a rural setup, so he was my neighbor, and he called me now informally from school. He told me that I should see him over maybe on a weekend. I went to his place and we took a walk. And he was just friendly. He was very friendly, and he talked about my potentials. He never condemned me because he never showed me how weak I was. All he did was to give me hope that even though the exam was near, I still had time, and I could use him anytime. He opened doors that I could write inches. I was not a very good writer. That I could write inches outside the normal learning interactions, and give him, and he would mark. And sincerely, he would mark. He told me that I could get exam materials from his office anytime. And when a learner feels loved, when a learner feels not being condemned, you see there is a lot of confidence which comes. So today, as a teacher, I try as much as possible to see every learner in a special way. So in my classroom, I ceased to categorize learners as those who are capable of maybe passing exams, those who are not very much capable. I don't condemn any learner today. All learners are important. So I have also seen in life that even the learners we perceive sometimes to be maybe weak, that is, maybe those are some of the terminologies we use. Most of them have a lot of potential in other fields. And after all, learning and growing, they go hand in hand. So sometimes a learner may just age when they come to through your hands. And later when they understand, when they grow, their mental growth occurs, they start grasping things which they did not grasp very well. And it becomes very easy. So sometimes maybe a learner comes through primary education and they are not passing exams. But growth-wise, they change. Therefore, if you condemn to them, you see it's like you're killing their morale. But when you handle learners out of love and you embrace them, you always give them a possibility that you are able to make it.
Yeah.
One, they feel appreciated. Two, you give them an opportunity to exploit their potentials. Whatever little they do. Because a learner may not be very good at mathematics, for example, but they are very good at environmental matters. They are very good at maybe co-curricular activities.
Yeah.
If you exploit that potential and they feel appreciated, then there's that fulfillment that they are equally good. Therefore, today, as a teacher, I always handle my learners just the way they are. Whether they are not very bright, maybe in whatever subject content we are teaching, I always try to make them feel that they are part of what we are doing and that there is something they can do. And they do. And whatever they do, some of them, learners are just interesting people. You may find that a learner who is very bright but very introvert. So in that class, if you only concentrate with the aspect of being bright, you may also overlook that other learner who can bring life to that class.
Yes.
Maybe the other learner can be used to motivate the others also. And also, as they motivate them, they also discover other talents which are maybe they possess. Therefore, today I look at learners and try to see their potential. I want to create friends. Today, when I go to a class, I am strict anyway. I'm a strict teacher. But by the end of the day, I want learners to understand why I'm being strict. Today, as a teacher, I'm a person who apologizes to learners because sometimes, just as any human being, sometimes you are carried by emotions. And sometimes you may be a little bit harsh to learners. And if they don't understand that it was not about being harsh, it's because you want things to be done in a particular way. Sometimes, you may punish learners and realize that there's a learner who was wrongly punished, maybe. You find maybe learners making noise in class, and maybe you subject them to a punishment. You see, it's always good after some time to come in a friendly manner and make them understand that it was not right to do A, B, C, D. But then it was necessary because by the end of the day, it was not with ill motives. Therefore, I want to make learners who are friends. Who, after maybe we meet tomorrow, after maybe today you have been punished because of a behavior, tomorrow you don't carry the same burden tomorrow. So you don't condemn that learner any other time. Not unless they are repeating the same. You should not even mention that maybe shortcoming again. But you see, maybe sometimes as teachers we may forget and discuss other learners, maybe learners' misbehaviors with other teachers, or even and by that to demotivate them. The learners feel content and they give up. And that is why maybe sometimes learners don't like school. That is why learners sometimes may not love us as teachers. That is when learners make us bad names because you see, they feel that you have something personal against them.
Yeah. I remember when I was in school and we had some teachers who would tell you, wewe hata hakuna mahali unaenda, like you can't amount to anything. The best you can do is to just go and become a mama mboga. By the way, who said mama mbogas are not educated? There are some very bright mama mbogas out there. It's only because perhaps that's their passion to do business, or maybe they didn't get an opportunity elsewhere that they would have wanted to. And I actually don't like it when people say all you can be is a mama mboga. One lecturer said to one of my classmates in university that just go and grow sukuma wiki because they're not doing very well in their course. And I don't know, Mr. Mutua, what do you think about teachers who say such negative statements to their learners? Have you ever, by the way, done that to your learners? Be vulnerable.
I have said that being a teacher, is a journey,
Yes.
and sometimes if you are not careful, if you don't let yourself to learn and also to soul search, you can do very many nasty things to learners, and that
Yeah.
is why I've said sometimes as a teacher you also need to package yourself in a way that you can even apologize to learners, because the teaching and learning activity involves a lot of maybe talking, a lot of maybe repetition, and sometimes you may say things which you never intended to say, because you may not even go to the extreme of maybe telling a learner that the only but then sometimes you may say things which the learner, and especially these growing learners who are adolescents, sometimes you can crack a joke thinking that it's a joke and it hurts them. So that's why I'm saying I believe that we have what we call you make a move. Sometimes you retract back and reflect, and also look at the emotions of the learner. How did the learner take whatever you say to them? Because sometimes you may say something without an intention of maybe hurting a learner, but they take it that they take it negatively. So my all I can say is that it's always good to mind your language as a teacher. Two, hold your learners with respect. Three, anytime you feel that you have gone too far, you make it clear. It is also not very expensive to say, I'm sorry. I think here this was uncalled for. So this is not my intention. That was not the intention. Let's not dwell on it, and let's work maybe towards another. It is, to me as a teacher, it doesn't break my any bone to sometimes maybe apologize to learners when I feel that maybe I'm being unfair to them. And I also want to make the atmosphere to be that friendly that they can tell me when, sometimes you give learners assignments and they have other assignments. And then the following day you are trying to be very harsh on them because they never finished their assignment. So I always want learners to take part in whatever assignments I give them. So that when we decide together that you are going to work on this area by tomorrow, you see they have also factored in other assignments from other subjects, other learning areas. Therefore, with that consensus, a learner will go home with a duty, knowing that I have a Kiswahili assignment, I have math assignment, and I'm going to do this Kiswahili during this time. But then sometimes you give learners a lot of assignments at home, they don't sleep. Sometimes you don't even know whether they have a place where they can even maybe carry on that assignment. And the following day you want to plan that it has to be done. Therefore, I believe that today the 21st century learner is a learner who should take part in decision making. Even when you are giving, of course, they will not decide what to do, but let them take part. Let ensure that they have agreed that this by this time this can be done. So this will avoid a lot of learners neglecting work. You see, what something you have taken part in deciding, you always take it seriously because no, it is you. I also let learners make decisions. My learners have a welfare. My learners have a welfare. It is not my duty to decide maybe that learners need some brooms to make the class neat. That has to be. You let them organize themselves, come up with maybe a few, they can contribute 5 shillings. Don't even touch that money. Let them account. All you tell them to do is to bring the account of what they have done so that they don't maybe miss money. So if they have contributed 5 shillings each, they have bought item A, B, C, D, the balance, they can even eat some snacks if there is any. By so doing, you nudge learners, you make them responsible, and they now feel part of whatever they do. Because if you have bought brooms, of course you take care of them. If you have bought maybe buckets, and you know how much you bought, then of course you are not going to let them just disappear from the class anyhow. Therefore, I'm saying today, maybe our learners, when you incorporate them in decision making, when you make them feel responsible, they give you a very easy time. They give you a very easy time. Make learners not have the self-drive that you don't have to be there to babysit them for them to work. By by reinforcing good behaviors. Anytime learners do what is right, reinforce, make them feel appreciated. And then tomorrow, it's human nature that anytime you are reinforced, there is that habit of trying to do it better tomorrow. And that is
Yeah.
how I survive, even in classes of very large numbers. Because learners feel it is their class. It is not my class. It
They
is our class.
belong. They
They
belong.
belong. And whatever
Good.
they do count. Yeah.
Good. So I've taken three very important things from what you've said. Number one, you've said, please be sensitive to the feelings and the emotions of the learners. When you realize you've hurt a learner, apologize. Don't be too proud as a teacher. That's what I've heard you say. Learn to apologize to your learners and then involve them. Involve them in making decisions, involve them in organizing themselves, and that brings out the value of responsibility in them. Good job.
Sure.
All right. You've really spoken. Let me sip my coffee first.
Do the same.
Great. This is the launch where we just talk in a relaxed environment. So, Mutua, how do you keep your students, your learners, engaged and excited about learning?
There are so many activities as a teacher which makes learners feel excited or get excited as they learn, and sometimes as when they are in school, because you see there are class activities, there are activities outside class. And I am one person who doesn't like being very formal. Being very formal in whatever you do, because human beings get bored, and sometimes I put myself in the shoes of the learners. And when you package yourself to that teacher who is just very serious, you get into class, you want to teach Kiswahili, Geli, and you are pumping knowledge to the learners. Sometimes they don't get it. Sometimes they hate it. Sometimes they don't even know why you are teaching that. Sometimes they are. So one, I always adopt an approach of being informal as much as possible in whatever activity you do. Such that learners discuss, learners can some learners can make maybe fun responsibly. You see, that is when you are teaching. Outside, I try to engage learners as much as possible to other activities. Like I'm very much interested in environmental activities. Therefore, learners maybe can engage in maybe nurturing trees, irrigating trees, doing activities, just other activities. Informal, and you realize that learners love those activities which are done outside class. I'm also in a games department, so you make learners feel free as they maybe engage in gaming activities, and you make learners maybe realize time for everything. That if it's time for games, let's go to games. If it's time for break, sometimes you want to teach and you want learners to do very well, so you don't give them breaks. And then you ask yourself, if I was, sometimes you also go to induction meetings, and time for lunch, you don't want anybody to be teaching, maybe to be facilitating during that time. So today, as teachers, I'm also sensitive that when it's time for break, let the learners go and have break. When it's class, let learners be in class. Today, we have a lot of integration of ICT in our learning, and that is where LoHoLearning has come in handy. And teaching and learning has just evolved. It's evolved because today, as a teacher, you don't have to go carrying maybe textbooks and notes. Sometimes today, we spice our teaching with other programs which make learning very interesting. Today, maybe we have programs like Kahoot, and which maybe once prepared well, learners can do evaluation. You can do evaluation in a very fun manner, and learners love it. And learners sometimes, when you are using these gadgets, electronic gadgets and computers, learners are engrossed in the learning. And because our learners are we call them what do we call there's this terminology we call them. They are highly integrated in ICT, so they have a lot of knowledge in the field of ICT. Sometimes we assume that we are teaching them maybe how to connect gadgets, how to use maybe the internet, how to navigate maybe different areas but they don't. They know. They have a lot of knowledge.
They are tech savvy.
Yeah, they're tech savvy. And
Yes.
they know. All I know is that the learners know, because you try to introduce a program, maybe coding, and realize that maybe 5 of them already know what coding is, and they do it very fast. Therefore, we make our teaching activities fun by engaging learners in maybe ICT activities. Outside class, learners are engaged in environmental activities and gaming activities, and they enjoy learning. So by the end of the day, there is not that formal and hard face of a teacher who is always carrying textbooks and books to go and teach. In fact, today we don't teach, we facilitate. So you also let learners move out of their way and do some research on their own. They use these gadgets, maybe electronic gadgets, to do research and to learn. That is how we are today.
That's good. So the key thing is engage them in varied activities.
Yeah, sure.
Good. Now, there's no single job that has no challenges, and I know teaching is not exempted. So many challenges that come with it, and I would like to know from you, as Mr. Mutua, what's been your biggest challenge in this teaching journey, and how have you overcome that? Just one, your biggest challenge.
Okay. Maybe I don't know whether I have one biggest, but then I can say that we are in a transition, and especially teachers who have been in the old system, 844 system, because I have been under the 844 system for maybe 5 years or even more, and now we have the change to CBC, CBE maybe. Now changing from 844 to CBC, I cannot say that it's very easy, because you see there is a different mindset today under CBC. You are facilitating. The professional documents you used maybe under the 844 are changing, and everything is changing. Even the learners are changing. Even the approaches are changing, and sometimes there is that resistance. Sometimes human being resisting. You went to college and you are taught that these are objectives. These are known as objectives. Tomorrow they are learning outcomes. You see, you find yourself going back to objectives sometimes.
And right now it's not even learning outcomes. It is lesson learning outcomes.
Yeah.
I tell you, so CBC has been changing all the time. My God.
Yeah. However, I think this challenge has been overcome. I have said that as a teacher, I am open to learning. So it is a challenge maybe when it's very new. But if you are open to change, you let it happen. You learn, you change, you adjust. Because if you keep fighting, maybe you are left. You are a bitter teacher by the end of the day, because you go to class, do lecture method, learners will not understand. Then and these are things which are making maybe some of us maybe bitter. If you still resist that, it has changed. But if you adopt and you prepare, sometimes also teaching requires preparation. You prepare, you learn and prepare. Then you see learners enjoy. Learners getting concepts in a easy manner, in a very informal manner. Because in a class now, learners are organized into groups. They are doing different activities. And it is even easier for the teacher, because you just show them the direction and they follow. And our learners know something. And when they exploit what they know and you add very little, then there's a lot of growth in the field of learning. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a challenge, and it is being addressed accordingly.
Managing change has been your biggest challenge, but you have overcome that. Good job. Now, Recently I was going through social media and I came across a certain meme of a patient who had gone to hospital. They were not okay, and the doctor was asking them questions. You know, the way the doctor will ask you questions to be able to diagnose. And the doctor was asking, have you been eating healthy? Have you been getting enough rest, enough sleep? Have you been avoiding stress? You know, and the patient just answered, I am a teacher. That struck because I was like, okay, what does it mean? Does it mean teachers cannot eat healthy, they can't get enough sleep? Or but that got me thinking. Then that's should I call it a mental wellness issue where there's burnout comes in? And I don't know if Mutua you've gone through burnout or so if you've gone through burnout or those difficult seasons in teaching, how have you been able to handle that so that you're not telling the doctor I'm a teacher?
Okay, I have learned and I'm learning and I'm growing, and I have realized that change does not occur in a day. So one thing that I have learned to appreciate, because most of the conflicts which occur to teachers and even professionals maybe is when you don't understand your place. So as a teacher, one, I believe that I know my place. I know my duties. I know limits. I know my duties very well, and I know that it's a process. So when I'm overwhelmed by maybe activities, maybe work related issues, one, I have learned to take time. You take a break, you distract yourself from activity, you give yourself some time. And sometimes something which is very stressing, when you give it time, you realize that it was not even supposed to give you stress. So one, I always take a break. Two, I try as much as possible to manage my time well. I try to separate work, and I dedicate my work time from my family time, from my me time, and I try as much as possible to balance that. Every time I allocate my time well. If it's time to be in school, I prepare, I teach. I have realized that the best you can do is to do your work without expecting to be supervised. I don't expect the class or to prepare because maybe the head of the institution is around, or because the deputy is around, or because maybe I know it's my duty to be in school and to do what is right, whether anybody notices it or not, because it's a duty. When it's time maybe for me to relax, then I also do it. And I do it responsibly, because you see, sometimes stress comes from when you don't manage your time well, when you don't manage your, and when you don't manage them well, then you become bitter, because you expect maybe to have more, and you start being jealous of others. Maybe you want to think that if I were so and so, I would be. I have realized that I'm my best today. Today I'm who I am. Tomorrow God will give me maybe another opportunity. If it doesn't come, I'm still good, because I am a teacher. I am salaried. I am innovative. I try to look at opportunities. I don't belittle myself, because that is one of the biggest problem maybe we have, when we feel inadequate. When maybe you are called upon to do something, you hesitate because you think you are not good enough. I have realized that as a person, everybody has a lot of potential. Therefore, you don't shy away from opportunities. You try, because by trying you lose nothing. And whatever you do, the little achievement you get, you celebrate it. When you feel stressed, that is the bottom line. Give it time. Don't overfight. Don't do it when you are maybe you are preparing something. It's already 12 in the night. You are not even supposed to be working at that time. That is one thing. Take a break, go, because people are asleep at that time. Then tomorrow, approach it maybe from another angle, and the stress goes. Yeah. And I also try to be as open as possible, because sometimes stress can emanate from maybe friends, from colleagues, from the environment. So you try to address triggers to stress, rather than maybe burying your head under the sand. So if maybe somebody is not maybe treating you well, it's always good to approach them in a very friendly manner and tell them that I don't feel comfortable doing what you want me to do. By so doing, you don't remain bitter. You let it go. And people also sometimes they offend you without knowing that they are offending you. So when you're open and you don't keep grudges, then of course you minimize the stress and regret which comes with stress.
Mm-hmm. Important things Mutua has said, teachers. Let me also summarize them for you. 1, be open-minded. 2, Mr. Mutua has said, learn to take a break. Learn to take a break. By the teachers, you need to learn to take a break. Please, when your learners are taking a break, you also learn to take a break. The third thing I've heard Mr. Mutua say is manage your time well. Ni hayo tu kwa sasa. A sip of coffee, please. All right, Mr. Mutua. I want us to do a small segment. We'll call it the Fast Five. Fast Five. So it's a quick fire. I'll ask you 5 random questions. Just tell me the first thing that comes to your mind, right? Are you ready? You'll try. It's okay. So Mutua, what was your favorite school lunch as a child?
Rice.
Rice. Oh my God. All right. While some of us were doing githeri every day, someone was eating rice. Eish, you should know people. All right. Question number 2. What's one word your learners would use to describe you?
I guess tough.
Tough. Wow. Okay.
Tough.
Question 3. What's one favorite classroom supply you cannot live without?
Pardon?
What's one classroom supply you cannot live without?
Classroom supply?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting you very, very well on that.
What is your favorite?
Yeah.
Okay, those things that you use in the classroom? What's that one supply you can't live without? As a teacher in the classroom.
Today, maybe I'm using my laptop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that is where I'm putting my assessment, my everything. So it's a gadget I'm not leaving from class.
See these ICT, savvy teachers, he can't live without his laptop. Some of us would not have lived without chalk. Okay, Mutua, what is your dream vacation for a break? Let's say you had a break at the end of this month. What's your dream vacation spot?
Mombasa.
Mombasa. Okay, me, I'm dreaming of Maldives. You should know people. Okay, last question, Mr. Mutua. What's that one book or that one movie that has changed your life? A book or a movie that has changed your life?
I can't place one now. At this time.
Okay, you can't think. Maybe you need to think about it. Does it mean you don't read books or you don't watch movies?
I watch movies, but not very much.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I get you. Thank you for that. At least we know something about you. Watoto wa mchele, watoto wa rice. Okay, let's get back to it so that we can wrap up. Mutua, you've shared so much wisdom with us on this episode, and I just want to let you speak to that teacher who is starting off in their teaching career. Perhaps they've just completed college, they're in their first year of teaching. What advice would you like to give to them?
Well, for our new colleagues who are joining us, one, I need to give them hope that they are in the right. And when I was in college, one of my lecturers told us that maybe he knew that it was not our first choice being a teacher, but because circumstances brought them to brought us to the field, we needed now to change. some teachers. Therefore, even our
But
new
there are
teachers.
those who teaching was their first choice.
Sure, yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah, there are those, but
mhm.
then maybe there are
Yes.
those who it was not. Therefore, what I can tell our new colleagues is that of hope, it is a good place to be. They just need to allow themselves to grow and learn, because the 21st century teacher is one
Mhm,
who has to keep on adjusting, because times are
mhm,
adjusting. Learning, our learner is now different, not maybe the traditional learner who was waiting for the teacher to just come and give knowledge. So they need to be flexible. They need to adopt learners and bring learners close to their hearts. They need to learn to love what they, and they need to appreciate the input they do, because as a teacher, maybe the biggest reward you get is when you see learners who have come become different people, grow from those little kids to responsible learners. Later, they go to university and they're coming back and telling you that, hey, Mwalimu, we love what you did to us. So it is a being a teacher requires one to go out of their way. I remember a parent who called me maybe 2 years ago, if not 1 year ago, and they M-Pesa me, by the way.
Hey.
They changed my M-Pesa. They made that difference in my M-Pesa balance. And I had taught, I had taught, I had taught these parents learner in grade 5, and she was a very good learner. But the parent, I never knew that the parent during that time was going through some challenges. When the mother sent me some money, the learner currently is in the university today. So she told me that she's so happy, and she feels happy because when I was the class teacher, I bought her daughter lunch. She was a very organized learner. So sometimes she could come to school and they were supposed to buy lunch around 30 shillings. So being my class prefect, sometimes I could just when the mother calls me and tells me that I assist her with maybe I buy lunch for the learner, later she would refund. I never took it as anything. I would just buy. So the mother now was telling me that during those times it was hard on them, that they never had the money. And you see, I just bought the lunch to the learner and to maybe many learners without minding. So today, after very many years, the mother is calling me to appreciate that the learner came through my hands, and I did something maybe which made the parent happy, the learner of course happy, because by the end of the day she did very well. She was always doing very well, and she was responsible, very well disciplined. That brings a lot of fulfillment, that as whatever you do as a teacher, it has a lot of impact to the learners, and you never know the good words you say to learners, the encouragement you do to the learners, they never go to waste. They always count to the learners. Yeah.
So
new
the
teachers,
teachers.
they need to know that they are doing a very noble job, which doesn't need anyone to recognize it. You don't need to be recognized today. Whoever you are doing the service to knows that you are doing it right, and they always appreciate and know they feel happy when they come back to you and they are telling you that Mwalimu, I am in Form 4, and I have a learner who brings results, and they are in a national school. Every time they close school, they want to get results with me. They want to show me that, to tell me how they are doing. And you see, this gives me, I feel encouraged, because someone feels that whatever they are doing today, that they have something from you, which is making them propel them to doing what they are doing today. Therefore, that makes us feel happy. Therefore, new teachers, less. Sure.
They should keep doing what they are doing.
Yes.
Mutua, I would like to give you a chance to give a shout out to 3 people in 5 seconds, whether your colleagues in the school where you teach or in another school, wherever, just 3 in 5 seconds.
So first, maybe to my head of institution, Madam Lucy. or mentoring me, because she has given me a chance. Anytime you get a chance in a school, it is through the head of institution. Also, Madam Wanjoy, who has been my mentor, and she has given me a lot of motivation to do hard work. Mr. Gadiru has stood with me many times. So I salute. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to note that the first person you mentioned was your head of institution. That means she's really doing a good job. So, Madam Lucy, kudos. And to the teachers who are viewing us, please, we would also like to know who was a teacher that changed your life. Maybe you want to tell us about them in the comments. You can tag them. By the way, you can tag them so that we can also join you in celebrating them. Thank you so much, Mr. Mutua, for pouring your wisdom into us and just sharing with us your life story. You have a lot to share, Mr. Mutua, and I think even this episode has not been enough. So I'll definitely want to host you on another episode so that we can share more. Thank you so much. So that's a wrap for today, my dear viewers. The teacher spotlight. We've been having Mr. Mutua from St. Dominic Primary School, Comprehensive School. Wow, I need to learn that. St. Dominic's Comprehensive School. Thank you, Mr. Mutua, for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your heart. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. We know that your passion is on another level, and you have reminded us why teaching is not just a job, but it's a calling. So thank you so much. To everyone listening, remember, your work matters, your voice matters, your impact stretches further than you'll ever know. And if today's episode has inspired you, please share, please like, share with a fellow teacher who could use just the little encouragement that Mr. Mutua has shared. Until next time, stay passionate, stay strong, and as always, you're welcome to the Teachers Lounge, where we teachers, we launch, we relax, and we get relaunched with a new energy. Thank you so much. And thanks, Mutua. Bye.
Much welcome.